Okay, board members, we're all back. Kind of. We'll wait till board member Belknap takes a bite. And then we're talking high school, where was it at? Graduation Credits Review Task Force Report.
Okay.
So Sarah Young, Executive Coordinator's helping you with this, so we want to invite her up.
Well, we can, or Sarah and I have made a different plan, so it doesn't.
What's your
take so
plan?
long.
Well, she's sitting there and she won't get something because she's afraid something will be in her teeth or
I'll
something.
sit up here so everyone can see. Can I just say something about Sarah? That first of all, I'm not on mine.
And I got it. Okay, there you go.
I'd like to say something about Sarah Young, that if you want to know what she's saying, you better pay attention, okay? Because she talks very fast. But this graduation task force we've been working on for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And this is as far as we've gotten, and I think it's good because we need to take this slowly and carefully. But I wanted to thank the board members who are on there, Janet Cannon, Lisa Cummins, Cindy Davis, Jennifer Gravitt, and Scott Hansen, and the previous board members who were on there, Tara Warner, Joe Wright, and Spencer Stokes. But if you look right here, you can see the staff, and without them, we're nothing. And I'm being really honest about that. Sorry, Sarah. They keep, between Patty and Sarah, we couldn't do this. So what we've done is we're going to take a few minutes, and Sarah's going to we'll go ahead and make our presentation. She's fast, let me tell you. But exactly how we've gotten to this point on the Portraits of a Graduate. There may be pieces of this you're going to look at and say, oh, I wish this word were different. I wish this was different. We're hoping that we can get this out for public comment and bring it back again next month. And then you can add or take away, or after we are able to take what the community wants, and then we can add and take away and work on that again. So, Sarah, go ahead.
Great, thank you. So Sarah Young, Executive Coordinator, appreciate the opportunity to be with you this evening. So in regards to Portrait of a Graduate, as part of the work of the task force, we had the opportunity as staff to host over 20 stakeholder input meetings. You'll note that a variety of different stakeholder groups came together to be able to give feedback, not just ranging from our experts in education, but our members of the public, as well as our students and recent graduates. And so that was very positive. In terms of that, we got a lot of feedback, and it was a little questionable how we were going to pull all that together in a single document. So what we did was we actually took all of the feedback and created a Wordle where it's going to highlight then kind of the words that really stand out in regards to things that were repeated over and over across multiple stakeholder groups. This is an example of one of the Wordles that was created in regards to the most important quality that individuals submitted in regards to consideration for Portrait of a Graduate. In regards to that, we then took all of those main ideas and we searched for within then the comprehensive notes, the associated phrasing. So you'll note skills was very large within the Wordle, and you'll see that then in searching through skills, it was connected to other themes such as life skills, interpersonal skills, soft skills, communication skills, etc. So we did that for the top 20 to be able to then pull together the majority and the main items that are highlighted in this draft. So the draft is framed is Utah's talent map. And MAP specifically here is standing for the words you can see in the corner, which I'll get into more detail in: mastery, autonomy, and purpose. So within this Portrait of a Graduate, we're looking to identify the ideal characteristics of a Utah graduate after going through the K-12 system. This really builds into the USBE vision of students being prepared to succeed and lead in regards to the future opportunities they pursue. So as part of this key, MAP again is an acronym that stands for mastery, autonomy, and purpose. We chose these words intentionally in terms of creating an action and really that call to action, I guess you would say, in regards to community members. As a part of that, we have different characteristics that are characterized in each of those categories. So we have academic mastery, healthy living, wellness, and self-awareness, civics and economic literacy, literacy, digital literacy, and technology readiness, all within the space of mastery. When we are speaking about autonomy, we have communication, critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and innovation, collaboration, teamwork, and leadership. And finally, in regards to purpose, we have characteristics categorized with honesty, integrity, and responsibility, hard work and resilience, lifelong learning and personal growth, service, and respect. Now, each of these are individually detailed into a Utah graduates and then a statement that really calls out what that looks like in more detail. And you can see that in the one-pager that's available in board docs. In regards to our next steps with a portrait of a graduate, I just want to highlight some parallel work we're doing in competency. So right now we have finalized the competency-based learning framework, which occurred in fall 2018. We have released the grant application for the planning grants for competency-based education for our LEAs. Those are currently under review by the advisory committee for competency-based education, and we plan on bringing those to committee in March for consideration and approval. After that, at the agency, we will start looking to develop competencies, prototype competencies, if you will, to be able to serve as exemplars to help spur that work for the LEAs who have chosen to explore that model and move down that pathway. In regards to this and connecting it back to Portrait of a Graduate, you can see that we're in the finalizing stage of Portrait of a Graduate in terms of getting community feedback and then bringing it back to you for final approval. That will then give us kind of our target or our North Star associated with the development of competencies, really looking at those larger items that'll take us, not just from individual academic standards, but larger competencies that lead to the Portrait of a Graduate that's finally approved. And then that leads our LEAs with the opportunity to move towards implementation for those that have selected this type of model within the populations and schools where they have seen that to be best fit. In regards to just connecting this to one last thing, we do want to highlight the strategic plan in regards to personalized teaching and learning. So when we're talking about the opportunities that we have through both Portrait of a Graduate and competency for students, it's really within this vein of the strategy that each student and educator has access to personalized teaching and learning experiences and creating policy and guidance documents that really allow our LEAs to achieve that in the classroom. Any questions?
What'd they tell you? So we
Board
are
Member
looking for a motion out of committee. Our motion is that we send this out to the,
Oh,
Can I ask you a question? I know questions are probably really not appreciated.
Sorry, I'm on the, she didn't hear
Okay.
the chair recognize me.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay.
It's okay.
Board
No,
Member
I mean,
Ellis.
Laura didn't hear the chair recognize me. Thank you for your presentation. I was just going to inform you that it was listed as an information item, not an action item. But I am just jealous of everybody on this task force. I have asked to be on it. I want to be on it. I know it's full, but take advantage of your placement and go and make this good.
Board Member Newell.
I noticed that there were a few higher ed institutions listed on there, but not all of them. Why wasn't there was a little more outreach to more of these higher educational institutions to get a better feel for what's desired by them?
yeah, that's a really great question. So when we were putting together the stakeholder groups, we had a pretty set time frame of about 6 weeks to be able to execute those in regards to at least informing then the first drafting process. Our intent was definitely not to exclude individuals, but recognizing that many folks, the actual stakeholder feedback session itself was about 2 hours. So for us to be able to get on some of the agendas, we reached out to GoEd as well as USHE, and they just didn't have time for that within, or for the full stakeholder experience within their existing meeting schedules and agendas. With that, we communicated with all of them that we would have a draft that would be available for more input before we would ever finalize that. So I definitely hear the recommendation that that we make sure that we touch base with each of the universities. I'm doing a presentation for the deans of the schools of education, USHE, next week. And so we'll have an opportunity to share, hopefully, maybe not, share the draft with them there, and be able to get, they'll have the mechanism of the survey to give feedback as well.
Wonderful, thank you.
Laura, just real quick, I know that this shows information, but I know we need to take action so we can get it on our Thursday.
Can maybe request that from leadership to put that on there? If we can answer all the questions here, we would just have to take a vote to put it out.
Okay.
So I think Carol has a question.
Okay, Board Member Lear.
I've heard from a couple of school districts that are really frustrated with the implementation of what they're calling competency-based instruction or programs in their districts, 2 different LEAs. I want to know if there's any connection between what they're doing and the frustration of, primarily I'm hearing from the parents, and but they're well-organized parent groups. And I want to know if there's anything related to what they're complaining about, what's happening in their district, compared to what is coming together officially.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So I'm going to answer it in 2 stages. I will say that one of the things that's been noted nationally about competency is the need to be able to have a really strong communication plan at the foundation of a launch of anything related to competency, because it's just so different than what we experienced, or at least I experienced when I was in a K-12 educational environment. So that communication piece, for what it's worth, nationally has been a stumbling block, not just here in Utah, but on a larger scale. In terms of then the how it relates to the work we're doing at the state, we have many LEAs that have moved forward as the state has kind of gotten our framework and different components in a row. So what we're really looking to do here is to enable them with resources to be able to make better and more informed decisions that they feel are supported by the policies that exist here, as opposed to kind of having to venture out on their own, lacking any sort of access to state resources and support. So right now, we are not directly involved in those implementations, but we're hopeful to create more of a comprehensive community as we move forward with this initiative.
Yeah, follow up?
That? So can I already did this once, so I guess I'm telling you, I hope I didn't do a bad thing, but is it okay if I refer the parents who are, and I'm not talking about 2 or 3, I'm talking about legions, like 200 and 250 that I'm getting emails from. Can I refer them to you, not to you personally, but, she sent me every email. But can I refer them, say the office, these folks can help you understand what is happening better? Is it okay to do that?
Yeah, so I would say, personally speaking, I think it's really important, first of all, that they start with their local building principal.
And they've tried all that, and nobody will understand or give them a holistic understanding of it.
Okay. The other thing I can say, so you're welcome to send them to me, and I can speak about it at a high level. I will tell you that sometimes I think our parents get a little frustrated talking to state office staff because we direct them back to the decision makers, which are really going to be at their local level, but I'm happy to provide that context. I am presenting at a PTA conference at the invitation of Leon Wood later in the spring in regards to addressing some of the larger concerns that parents have about competency, mainly addressing it not necessarily from maybe what they're seeing on an implementation level, but discussing it from a vision level, as well as empowering them to have a voice to get involved.
All right, that's a beginning of.
Okay, Superintendent Dixon.
This goes to Board Member Lear's questions, or comments, I guess, / question. So I live in a neighborhood that's frustrated with how it's being implemented in their district, and I found that they just didn't have a lot of information that was right on their district website and some good explanation. So I mean, that's on the shoulders of communication implementation at the local level. But I had that, I thought, oh, wow, do we get involved with this? Nope, I'm going to send them right back to their district. But I said, here's a link on your website. Here's the person to call in your district. Here's an explanation of the difference between personalized learning and competency-based and blended learning. And then it helped them formulate some questions to ask their district. So that's where I sort of stepped in to say, here's some information that might help you form the questions, because they didn't know what they didn't know. Like, they didn't even know the questions to ask. So I think I just want to reiterate what Sarah said, and that's referring them back to the districts where they can solve those problems. Because I'm finding that two things are happening. One, just a lack of understanding of what's happening. Two, districts are implementing this differently and calling some things different things. And three, there's some concern about what happened to deadlines and everybody turns it in on Friday and you get a percentage. Like, it's that frame of the way they were taught and experienced schools. So there's got to be a lot of work done with parents. And if we've learned nothing in this office, it's, parents really need to have good communication streams. So just send them back to your district if possible. And we can help with, and we learned that the hard way. I see some of you rubbing your eyes, but hard lessons learned.
Laura?
Just as a follow-up or maybe a compilation of, we are not either advocating for Carnegie units or competency-based. What we're trying to do is open the door for districts to choose and let them roll with where they are. And I think maybe, Carol, to your point, that part of that will be that we're going to have some sort of framework, or what are they called? Competencies, what are they called? Efficiencies. No, proficiency, but what, just
Or
the
prototypes.
prototypes
Yes.
of what competencies are, which will help them to roll it out to their districts. What does it mean to be competent, and give them some guidance.
Okay. Board Member Lisa Cummins?
So I'm going to liken this to a personal experience, but it takes a year to get out of the mentality of old school thoughts and processes, and to adjust to that and not to be scared of, am I doing the right thing? Are the kids going to learn? Are they, going to succeed at this method? And at the end, it's better than what happened at the end of the last standard of education. So just give it time, a lot of communication. There'll be a lot of error, trial and error, and finding the right words and the right formula for each district, each LEA. So just time.
Okay. Board Member Davis?
I know this isn't an action item, but do we need to take a vote at some point before Sarah can do these presentations, or can you move forward with that presentation without us taking a vote? Our vote is on the same day as your presentation.
Yeah, so as far as the document itself, it's available through Board Docs, which is where we can refer them to. We just won't have a mechanism open, if that makes
I
sense,
see.
for direct feedback
I see.
until the board authorizes that.
Gotcha.
We'll be meeting Thursday.
And that is my report, Chair.
Thank you. And thank you, Sarah Young. Hopefully there's a slice of pizza back there for you. If not, there's some really good fish or hot tamales or something right here.